Don't you just love people? And we're all so unique and different. If we've gone through the book of Acts, there have been lots of people. And some we've stopped and looked at, and we'll look at a few today, and today just do a quick little character tour, if you will. And people like to talk about people. Who'd you talk about yesterday? Now see, you thought I was going to talk about my newborn grandson because it's my first one. Now I'm not, but I just did. I mean, but you know, we always talk about people. Usually it's in a negative light, rarely but occasionally in a good light. But you can learn from everyone. And typically, you talk about people and things about them that it's a blind spot. You know what I mean? So they don't see it. Now, we all see it. So it's helpful to get feedback from people. It is, because they'll talk about a blind spot. Okay, for instance, I don't use a lot of sarcasm in my preaching. You know why? I'm not good at sarcasm. You know what I mean? Savannah told me that. Now, wouldn't you rather she told me that than I get up here and try to be sarcastic all the time? Why does he got to do that? He not, that's why he. Okay, well, I got feedback, so I try to avoid a lot of sarcasm. I'm just not really good at sarcasm. So there's probably something in your life that you're not aware of, and you wish somebody would tell you, but they won't. And so everybody around you knows it, but you. That's kind of weird, isn't it? Think about that. So characters are an interesting study, and people do fascinate us. But sometimes we just know one thing about somebody. That's all. Just one thing. You know what's interesting? The pilot, it's been a couple years ago, remember the plane that landed in the Hudson River up in New York? And the pilot, we all know his name now, Sully, because they made a movie about him. Tom Hanks is the character. Whenever Tom Hanks is in a movie, the character is always moral and upright. You notice that? I mean, those are just the people that Tom Hanks does. So Tom Hanks movies usually are really good to watch and, you know, all that. So, but we all know Sully, but we don't know anything about him. I don't know anything about his marriage, family, kid. I don't know anything about it. All I know is he landed a plane in the Hudson River and everybody's fine. That's pretty good to be known about. That's all we know. One thing about him. Now I'm sure the movie will bring out a few things. I don't know. But you know, throughout the Bible, the story of redemption is told with lots of people. Lots of people. You know, I can't really tell anybody about our church without talking about y'all. You know? No, I just can't. So anyway, so we read the Bible, and the authors, they pick out these characters, and if you read the book of Ruth. Now, as a heads up, you probably already know who the book of Ruth is about. It's about Ruth. But now think about it. So Ruth is married, got a husband, and he died. Her sister-in-law's married, so they're sister-in-laws, so they're married to two brothers. Well, both brothers died. Even the dad eventually dies, and the mother, Naomi, she says, you know, you girls, I don't have any more kids. You might as well go back home. And so the one did. The one went back home. But Ruth said, no, I'm sticking with you. Now, why does the Bible compare the two characters? It wasn't wrong for the one woman to go back home. That was fine. It was okay to do that. So why the comparison? Why have two characters in the story? Because one did what was good and one did what was great. That was Ruth. And if you read on, she becomes like the great-grandmother of David, who becomes the great-whatever, grandfather of Jesus. Wow. So characters are interesting. I've always thought, well, I'd like to do a character study every year. And of course, in my lifetime, I don't have enough time to do many. And And we'll see if I get to one this year. I'm planning to do the book of Daniel in February. That's kind of a character study. It's on the book of Daniel, so we kind of do a book and a character at the same time. So maybe that'll take care of that. But all I'm saying is, so characters are interesting. And when you come to the book of Acts, we're studying church history in the first century. A lot of characters, a lot of moving parts, and a lot of things going on behind the scenes. Now you think about that. In order for God, say, to answer one of your prayers, He has to do other things. Let's just say, I've got it, okay, like it's like preparing for a party. Yeah, you've got to have food, but somebody's got to send out the invitation, somebody's got to clean the house, somebody's got to do this, and there's lots of other little things. Think about that. So God's got to take care of a lot of other details, providentially, behind the scenes, just so He can answer your prayer. You think about that. There's a lot going on. A lot going on. Christmas. We just sang Silent Night. And if you just sit here, and if we just go silent, 20 seconds. I can't do that. But just pretend. And it's Christmas night. Way back. Of course, it wasn't Christmas night. And nothing's happening. Nothing's going on. Just like any other night. Oh, no, not at all. See, God was working. There was a lot going on. There were a lot of moving parts. I mean, there were shepherds out in the field who were going to partake in the story. I mean, I'm just saying. All right. Now, all the times, though, we talk about people, we look for the bad. And I don't know why. I guess that's why it's hard to read the news, because it's always bad. I mean, it's always bad. Now, I know there's a fire in Gatlinburg, and it's not a great story, but I mean, it's a horrible story. But I mean, that's newsworthy. I mean, that ought to be reported. But most of these news stories are crazy. So I'm on USA Today. You know, I have multiple apps. I do every. I read the Huffington Post, CNN, USA Today, Yahoo News. I don't know. Drudge, Fox. I mean, I've got like 8 apps. I just go through them all because I don't believe much of what I read. But I do believe there was a fire in there. But, you know, and political stuff, I just ignore because it's just what it is. But anyway, so, and everybody's got their thing, and I got that. I read a little bit of sports stories. I mean, give me the score, I pretty much got it. Read the box score, I kind of got it. But you know, so anyway, but we have a penchant for the bad. You know, when somebody uncovers dirt on somebody, it sells. It's the headline. I don't know. It's just the way we're wired. But when you read the Bible, then listen. There are characters in the Bible that are corrupt, and we're going to see one today, just briefly. But we should learn from those people. We should learn from them. So I want to just briefly, we're in Acts 24 and the first part of 25 today. I'm kind of highlighting some things. Paul's on trial, and we don't have to go through every verse, and you can read that, but I do want to hit some things, like I did last week, to take care of this. So we've got 6 characters. So let's just talk about 6 characteristics, some briefly, some a little more to the point. For instance, number 1, we have the Sanhedrin. All right, Sanhedrin, they crucified Jesus, so we kind of know where they are. They're a little biased against Christianity. All right, so, I mean, look, if I'm reading an article in the paper and somebody's biased against Christianity, I should know that I'm reading the article. Man, I should get that. And people call, you know, Christians extremists, and we are extremists. Think about that. We are to love our enemies. That's extreme. That's extreme. Okay? We believe the Bible. Okay, in this day and age, that's pretty extreme. That's kind of radical. I think you would actually believe Genesis 1:1 and Revelation 22:21. I mean, I was like, you believe everything about it? Yeah, I do. That's pretty extreme. So we are. But people are biased. They just are. So I don't want to really spend a lot of time there, but here's what Paul knows. He cannot get a fair trial with the Sanhedrin. He can't. Hands down, he'll lose that. But he's a Roman citizen, so he will take advantage of that. And he will ultimately appeal to Rome, and so on. Then we come to Tertullus. I wouldn't recommend you name your child that, but I guess it worked back in the 1st century. But let's just read it, okay? Acts 24. So after 5 days, the high priest, Ananias, who we talked about last week, very cruel, came down with some elders, and of course they're all from the Sanhedrin, and the spokesman, that is the lawyer, was Tertullus. So they laid before the governor their case against Paul. And when he had been summoned, Tertullus began to accuse him, saying, now, if you're a lawyer, your goal is to win the judge's favor. All right, so he uses a lot of flattery. Now get this. Okay, so he says to Felix, since through you we enjoy much peace, while everybody gags in the audience, and since by your foresight, most excellent Felix, I'm going to gag some more. I'm like, what? Oh, this is all a joke. Reforms are being made. I got to gag again, man. Listen, if you read history about this guy, Felix, this guy doesn't believe a word he's saying, but he's a lawyer. Yeah. Reforms are being made for this nation in every way, and everywhere we accept this with all gratitude. Oh man, get out the barf bags. But to detain you no further, I beg you in your kindness. Felix doesn't even know what the word kindness means. To hear us briefly. Okay, so he's not interested in the truth. He just wants to get a conviction. Doesn't believe a word he says. He's a lawyer. I still remember the O.J. trial. And for those of you who weren't around for the O.J. trial, it captured America. And everybody watched the chase with the Bronco and the police cars and all that. And if you were living in the country, you watched it somehow. We didn't have phones, we pulled it up on our phone. We had to watch it we actually had to watch it on the TV. And but now you just pull it up and you could have watched it live and so on. But I still remember the lawyer, Johnny Cochran. Good lawyer. Here's the thing. So, and if you type in Google, I checked it out, and it says, if the gloves, boom, right away it pops up. That's all you got to type in. And here's what he said to the jury. He said, if the gloves don't fit, okay, they found some leather gloves. They've been left out. They've been, they were found outside. Been out there for a while, rained on everything. Here's what he said: if the gloves don't fit, you must quit. Now, I don't know what everybody in America thought, and I'm not an expert on leather goods. But I grew up working in construction, and I didn't always use leather gloves, but I have used leather gloves, construction gloves. And I knew from experience that if you left them out in the rain, jump, because they would shrink. All right? I mean, these are not just cheap. I'm not an expert. That was my first thought. The gloves aren't going to fit. They're not. And so when O.J. grabbed the glove and went to put it on and it wouldn't fit, I wasn't surprised. But everybody else was like, oh, guess it wasn't him. And they acquitted him. I don't know. I'm just, now, I don't know what Johnny Cochran thought. I mean, you're a defense lawyer. He might have believed O.J., but that's not his goal. His goal is to defend his client the best he can and get him off. And that's what he did. I mean, that's just what lawyers do. So, anyway, and I guess nobody on the prosecution thought the gloves could have shrunk in the rain, in the weather. I don't know. Once again, leather experts, you correct that. And that's just from my experience. But the facts about Felix are well known in history. He was not a nice guy. He was not a peaceable guy. And eventually Rome, under Nero. Think about that. You need to come to Rome because you're too brutal. He was a brutal guy. All right, so it's just flattery. The Bible has a lot to say about flattery, and I don't want to spend our time there. So let's go to a couple more characters. Felix and Drusilla. What an interesting couple. I mean, look, if it was today, they would be on the Hollywood, is there a thing called Hollywood Reporter or whatever? They'd be on all these things. They would be the hot couple and all that. You know, he lured her away from her first husband. I mean, she was like a beauty queen. I mean, she was. And beautiful people have more temptations than less fortunate people. But nonetheless, so here they are, but they're a couple now and all that. So after some days, so Felix came with his wife, Drusilla. Now, she'd been raised a Jew, but she's not a practicing Jew at this point. So he sends for Paul and heard him speak about faith in Christ Jesus. And as he reasoned, now I want you to, before we read on, I want you to understand what's going on. So Felix, I think this is maybe his third wife. I lose track sometimes of these numbers, kind of like Hollywood. But this is her second husband. So he uses a magician or whatever, and he just tries to entice her away from her first husband. She's not even 20. So I think she got her first marriage was at 16. Anyway, so now it was a different era. So understand, people got married earlier, okay? Mary, the mother of Jesus, was a teenager. I mean, that was just the norm of the day. So don't try to read today's culture back into that and say, wow, that was a little shady getting married at 16. No, it wasn't. So you need to understand that. We live in a society where we are constantly reading today's values back 100 years or 200 years. It doesn't work. Now, I know we try to make it work, and it doesn't work. So I don't want you to go that route. But she didn't leave her first husband just because she was enticed by this guy, Felix, which I don't have time to drill down on how he got to power and all that. But anyway, so here you've got this shady relationship. So what does Paul talk about? Now, this is not what you call seeker friendly, right? So he wants to talk about righteousness. Oh, you had to go there, didn't you, Paul? Self-control. It's like, this guy's not real bright. I mean, he's on trial, and he's coming right at it. And the coming judgment. Whoa. I tell you what. Felix was alarmed. I mean, he got very, very uncomfortable. Are you with me? I mean, these hit him, and he knew. He knew he was guilty. He knew. He said, go away for the present. And when I get an opportunity, I will summon you. And of course, the Bible tells us that at the same time he hoped that money would be given to him by Paul. He wanted a bribe. So he sent for Paul often and conversed with him. Now it's interesting when you look at characters in the Bible. And we know that Drusilla, we've learned this from outside history, so I mean she was a beauty. She was. And very, very attractive. But if you go back in the Bible, and it's interesting when you read the story of David. In 1 Samuel 16:7, Samuel was told by the Lord that God looks on the heart and not on the outside. Just a few verses later, the Bible says that David was handsome. Why does the Bible tell us that? It just said God doesn't look on the lives. And the Bible is telling you that good-looking people face temptations other people don't face. Or they face more temptation. And if you're reading that, you're stopping and thinking, now why does the Bible tell me that David is handsome? And we don't find out until we get to 2 Samuel. And he has an adulterous affair with Bathsheba. And I don't have time to drill down, but I just think, when you're reading the Bible, and you have two verses that are juxtaposed almost, and they're very close together, and why did he say that? There is a reason. And it's almost as if you can see the train coming, but you don't know what's going to happen. You see this in movies. You're like, I know what's going to happen. Think you ever said that? You're kind of seeing the groundwork later. So, I don't know, character studies are just always amazing. And here's what we know about Drusilla. Men gravitated to her. They did. I mean, when she went to high school, all the guys noticed. All the guys. And I don't know, guys, if you went to school and you're in high school and a new girl came and she was fairly attractive, you know what happened because you were there. She getting all the attention. That's just what happened. That was Drusilla. Well, Phillips was the one who landed the deal and got married and all that. And then, of course, Paul, he just kind of held nothing back. Now, listen, he was pretty assertive. He didn't have any problem doing that. Personally, I just know me, I'm more of a whip. I'd have held back. I would. I just wouldn't be in me to do that. But he didn't hold back. But here's basically what Paul said. Righteousness. What are you going to do with your sin? I mean, we're all sinners. And I guess when he looked at Felix, he probably thought, Felix, we know you are, so it's pretty obvious. So what are you going to do about your sin? Self-control. You both lack self-control. That's kind of been established. What are you going to do about your current temptations? And then what about judgment? Ooh. It's coming. It's coming. I don't know how many of you have ever had to go to court. I've never had to go to court. So I don't know what it's like when your court day is 3 days away, 2 days away, and then the day when you're going to get the verdict. I don't know what that's like. But it can't be a fun feeling. And I think most of us believe that Judgment Day is never coming. Right? Ain't come yet. It's coming. But you know that day, Felix said, inside, oh, it's coming. And I'm not looking too good. The Bible says that he was there. Now, message, if you start talking about things like hell, people like judgment, could we just kind of move on past that? Yeah, you can, but you can't ignore it. It's reality. When you watch reality TV, you know that's not reality TV. I mean, it's not. They set everything up ahead of time. That limb didn't just break and fall out of the tree and fall on the car. Oh, wow, I didn't expect that. No, they set all that up because now it's just become a thing. So it's not really reality TV. But I'll tell you, there are some places I don't care to go to. I just don't. Hell's one of them. It's not on my top 10 list to go to. It's the number one place I plan to avoid. The night I got saved, do you know what the preacher preached on? He preached on hell. Man, he preached on it hard. It was hard and it was hot. I'm done. But unlike Felix, who procrastinated, wrote one that night, I gave my life to Christ. I was done. I mean, most of us, the most fear we feel is when the blue light's in the rearview mirror. That's about it. it. Until he goes past us to get somebody else. But you've experienced the fear, even though you were going like just 2 miles over the speed limit. You thought maybe he's having a bad day. He was going to nail you anyway. I still recall the time, I'll never forget, a woman in Maryland got pulled over going 56 in a 55 zone. That is a true story. I wonder how she felt. She wasn't happy. But it made the news. Anyway. But all I know is, boy, fear flooded Felix's soul. Man. One of our problems. Sin no longer exists. Well-known psychiatrist, he's now gone, but in 1973, Carl Mayer wrote a book, Whatever Happened to Sin? See, now there is no sin. Pretty much you do anything you want, it's not sin. Might be a weakness or an addiction, or it might be somebody else's fault, but it's not sin. It's almost like we have removed the baselines. Now here's the deal. As believers, the baseline for our lives and our morality is in the Bible. Now I don't know how many of you played sports or baseball, but in baseball, you have a baseline, and I think this even happened in the current playoffs. A guy ran outside the baseline to avoid a tag, and they replayed it. They went to the replay booth to see if he went too far out to avoid a tag. Because if you go too far from the baseline, I mean, you can't run up in the stands, swing around people, come down, and I'm saying, no, you're out, okay? Because it's like you got about this much, they'll give you about this much room to avoid a tag. This much, you're out. That baseline is there for a reason. In football, could you imagine playing football with no sidelines? Okay, you know that's a joke. Or it would be a joke. Same with life. This is not the Autobahn where there are no speed limits. There are guidelines, principles, and very clear rules for morality, and if you get off the bound, if you go out of bounds, that's a sin. I mean, it's just, it is. In football, they throw a flag or whatever, or the play's dead, I mean, whatever. I mean, it's just what it is. On punt return, you cannot run out of bounds to try to gain, I mean, everything, they have lines. That's what it's about. You would have chaos, which pretty much sums up America when it comes to morality today. It's anything goes. It's chaos. There are no rules. Or if there are, there are very few. Okay? Now, I do know, from what I understand, if you're in the military and you are a ranking officer, and I may not have this exact, but if you commit adultery, you're out. All right? I think that's what happened to Petraeus, a couple other things, but I think in the military, and I don't know how far down it goes, but you cannot commit adultery or you're out. Okay, so ask your military friend. But Philip Yancey, in his book, Vanishing Grace, he talks about our moral freefall. It's just, whatever. And just to give you an idea, I mean, it's just, I know society changes, but society changes the rules to where there are no rules. I guess. Well, there are rules, but it's just chaos. So here's a guy, Dr. Paul Church. He was one of Boston's most loved physicians. Now get this, I mean, he was a urologist, and he invested 28 years practicing medicine at Beth Israel Deaconess Medical Center, and he also taught at Harvard. However, he wrote articles about the dangers of same-sex activity. He referred to it as highly inappropriate, and in 2014, after 28 years at being at Harvard and at the hospital, they canned me. See, they said, no, the rules have changed. We don't have rules anymore. No. I mean, it's like, we're always changing the rules. And chaos. I still remember Tiger Woods because this weekend he's trying to come back. And I didn't check yesterday, but I think he did really well Thursday and Friday and all that, like no bogeys and all that. But I'll bet you everybody in here knows when his career went downhill. And I promise you that Nike knows. Nike no longer does golf equipment. You know why? Because Tiger Woods is out. Dick's Sporting Goods got rid of hundreds of golf professionals in their stores. Why? Because when Tiger Woods isn't playing, sales went down. They didn't need it. They all know when his free fall began. It's when he committed adultery and it became public. And everybody has seen pictures of the car and everything. So we remember all that. Now time will tell if he gets back. So when it said the leading causes of death are self-inflicted, the side effects of tobacco, obesity, alcohol, sexually transmitted diseases, drugs, and violence, you think about that. It's like we're our own worst enemy. Wow. And we've euphemized everything. We have. Because sin is now no longer sin, it's just a weakness, an addiction, an inherited trait, or it's somebody else's fault or blame shifting. And I think, okay, then if that's the case, what do we do with grace? What do we do with grace? Do we trivialize it? I mean, okay, you get a speed ticket. And the guy says, you know what, I'm going to charge you $1. But you know what, it's only $1, so I'm going to let you go. Whatever, $1, I'll give you $1. But he says, you know what, you're out of state, that'll be $385. But I ran your record and said you look pretty good. I'm going to let you go. Which one is the greater story of grace that you're going to tell? Which one? Which one? So if your sin is like, well, I never would sin, what's it? I mean, does grace even exist? And then what about the judgment of Christ on the cross? Are we going to trivialize the cross? Jesus Christ, not a big deal. He just couldn't get along with people. Man. And then people, I wonder if people look around sometimes and say, how did I get here? Where did my downward spiral start? Where did it start? Well, Romans chapter 1, which we don't have time to read, but you can read that at home, and 18 to 32 describes it. And it starts with the rejection of Creator. I mean, that's where the Bible starts, Genesis 1:1. The Bible tells us that's where we see the glory of God in creation. If you compare Felix and Paul for a moment, one is trembling with fear, and one, Paul said, he's living with a clean conscience. Boy. A clean conscience. I believe it's in verse 16. I don't have it in here. Clear conscience. Blameless conscience. The conscience is like, isn't it amazing? We all believe, we all believe in the conscience. And we all know that it's an automatic warning system. And so we all know that. We all know that. And you all have smoke alarms. And we're told that when you change the clock, that you should check the batteries or change the batteries so that your smoke alarms or fire alarms will work properly. It could be a matter of, life and death. Could it be that your own conscience that God gave you, Romans chapter 2, verses 14 to 15, could be a matter of life and death? See, here's the deal. When God made you, He installed at His divine factory your own automatic warning system is called the conscience. And today we are making cars with automatic braking systems. You see them advertised all the time now. You didn't see something, but your car has a conscience now, and it knows that there is danger lurking, your life is in danger, and immediately the brakes are applied. Now, that's the way your conscience is supposed to work. You're about to do something, and your conscience says, whoa, you better not do that. And there are times you don't. And there are times you do. Now, the more acquainted you are with the Bible, the better your conscience works. Now, the Bible talks about the conscience. And listen, I think we underestimate the power of the conscience. Wow, it was back in the 80s. There was a Spanish Airlines, and it was in Spain. But when the investigator, it crashed. When the investigators uncovered like the black box and all that, what they heard was, okay, in English, the system said for the pilot to pull up, pull up. And they caught the words of the pilot. And here's what he said. Shut up, Ringo, shut up. The plane crashed into the side of the mountain. And everybody was killed because one guy did not listen to the automatic warning system, the plane's conscience. And we go through life and we watch multiple lives destroyed by one person's indiscretion. One person's sin. Because somebody did not listen to their conscience. Well, the Bible talks about a weak conscience, a wounded conscience, a defiled conscience, an evil conscience, and a seared conscience. And listen, the Bible warns us that if you sin enough, ignore your conscience enough, you become numb. It's seared like a scab. You know, I have a few scabs. I won't reveal them. And, you know, you can't feel. I mean, it just, you know, it's just there. Yeah, boy, what a scary place to be. Well, you know, it's interesting. We go through life, and I don't know why we have a hard time believing that judgment is coming. We almost act like as if we can live forever. But we've talked about Drusilla, the beauty queen. You know what I've noticed in America? On magazine covers, I don't read them, but you know, you can't hardly miss ads and all this anymore. And nowadays, Victoria's Secret, okay, get this, on USA Today, that makes the news. That's news? If we've got people, I guess I'm missing something, but I didn't think that was news, but anyway, I guess it is. So, but I wonder if they're going to call them back up when they're 85. You know what I'm saying? In other words, we all know life does come to an end. And one day, beauty runs out. And the phone goes silent. Nobody called me today. Nobody called me yesterday. That's reality. That's reality. And all of us will face a time of judgment. And I am thankful that Jesus Christ received and took my judgment on the cross. But I'll tell you what, I'm just going to be honest with you. I'm a winner. I don't like judgment. Do everything I can to avoid judgment. I remember when I was like 20 and I'm working, and the guys in the company, Dad's company, would call me 55. Made fun of me because I always went the speed limit. I've always been fearful of tickets and judgment. I'm just a whim. I'm just him. Now, that's reality, though, that Jesus Christ died on the cross for my sins, in fact, the sins of the entire human race. But the only way to avoid judgment is to repent of my sins and trust Jesus Christ and Him alone. That's it. And that's what Paul tried to convince Felix and Drusilla of. Because faith in Jesus Christ will change your life. And I'm about out of time, so let me land the plane by going back to the 17th century. There was a guy named Nicholas Herman. And he got converted to Christianity. And his life, he wasn't unusual. I mean, his life, he just felt like it was barren. But he noticed that every spring there were new leaves on the trees, and he thought, you know what? God could do that in my barren life. Bring about new leaves. So he didn't know what to do, so he entered a monastery. And he didn't know what to do, so he just said, I'll just commit my whole life to Christ. I'll just do my whole life. So I'll just cook food and wash dishes. Cook food and wash dishes. And everybody in here would say, man, he jumped from the fire into the fire, frying the pan into the fire, because that is a barren life. Just to cook food and do dishes. How many of you, that's like, I can't wait to get home and do dishes, you know what I'm saying? I don't really turn my crank. But he did that for years. And then what he would do, he'd write letters about what he was experiencing spiritually. He just wanted to think about God, serve, and that's it. Cook and do dishes. Well, when he died, his friends got together, got the letters together, and put it into a book. And now today, the book is titled The Presence, or The Practice of the Presence of God, by Brother Lawrence. And do you know that today, it's thought by many to be the most widely read book of all time. And I say that because we walk out of here every week and you're thinking, okay, I've committed my life to Christ and I'm not really worried about the judgment. Jesus took care of that on the cross. But I want to experience God. And I don't know what your thoughts are, what that means. I don't know if you've got to see the stars in the sky fall, the planets blow up. I mean, I don't know what it is. But like Brother Lawrence, just being a cook and washing dishes. And he had the time of his life experiencing God. What do you think about it? You get up, 5 o'clock in the morning, you're outside, it's cold. You can experience God. I'm going to tell you how. That's not what I'm here today for. I'm just telling you, it's almost like we go through Christianity and we live the Christian life and we have so defined it, redefined it, that we don't even know we've experienced God. You know, what would it be like if you kept you a diary? And 50 years from now, your grandkids read it. And what you do is you write down one thought a day that you had about God that day. So when you get up tomorrow morning, or tomorrow night, tomorrow afternoon, you write down one thought. might discover at the end of your life, you truly experience God. And like the Apostle Paul, you will go through life living with a clear conscience. Because you will live every day in the presence of God. Thinking about Him, thinking of His love for you, thinking about how you deserve Him. Let me tell you, it'll make all of it. Because when it comes to the end of the life, your life, you only go out two ways. One in fear because of the coming judgment, or one in peace because you have a clear conscience, because Jesus Christ received your judgment. Let's stand for prayer.